My new book, which is called Color of Gold, is a novel, and it is set in Kolar Goldfields, which is a gold mining town in Karnataka, and it is being published by HarperCollins. Color of Gold is a kind of a mystery novel. There is a mystery right at the beginning of the book, and in the course of unraveling that mystery, I have gone into the history of Kolar Goldfields. So it's like the history and ethos of the mining town are intertwined with this mystery. So in the process of unraveling the mystery, I cover 100 years, which was about how long the mines actually existed and worked. So that is Color of Gold, and the people who have read the early manuscripts of it are quite excited about the fact that there has never been a novel set in a gold mining town, especially in India. And so this is what I'm looking forward to. It may be coming out in November. It partly came from the fact that I grew up in KGF, where my father was working in the gold mines. And so the early years of my life I spent in the gold mining, in Kolar Goldfields, which was at that time a very flourishing town. I'm talking about the 50s, the 60s, and even the 70s. And until my father left Kolar Goldfields, it was a town which was very desirable to live in. We had these beautiful old bungalows. And I saw the town transition from, in the 1950s, KGF was still a kind of a British colonial town. Although India was independent, it was still owned by the British. And because it was owned by the British, it had a different ethos of its own. And it also had a huge Anglo-Indian population. So most of my classmates were originally, to begin with, British, and later on they became Anglo-Indians. And a lot of Indians also. So it was a kind of mixed kind of life over there. Then later on I left KGF and I became a journalist. And for many years I wrote about KGF, among other things. I mean, I was a journalist writing for all the national and papers, magazines and so on. So one of the subjects which always was close to my heart was KGF, because I could see the way it was declining, and finally in 2002 it was actually declared dead, because they said that no more gold could be extracted. And mines got flooded and it was totally closed down. So after that, one of the times when I went there, I found it was a totally different town. It was dead. The shafts which used to turn round and round, and the bustling township and the sirens, everything was gone. It was like visiting a dead town. Then afterwards, when I revisited it again, I found a different kind of life had come up, which had completely excluded the mines. It was like a different town altogether. So with these things working in my mind, I thought it would be very interesting to write a novel on this, rather than, I had already written a number of articles, but I thought with the novel I could bring out the way in which the mines were first discovered, and about the British and how the Anglo-Indians came in and so on. So that's how Color of Gold got born. Yes, around that time, 2002 maybe, yeah. Because as I told you, my book ends in 2002. So I have not really talked about the transformation which happened afterwards, which obviously doesn't fit into the scope of the novel. So I talked about the transformation. It started out as a scraggly no man's land. Just to tell you a little about the history of the gold bearing area over there, there was a lot of gold apparently there, and people, to the extent of technology that they had, they used to mine it. In fact, they say that gold came there because mythologically during Rama's time, when he was chasing the golden deer and he killed it, the golden deer died over there and its blood splattered all over, and so the gold came to. So, and there have also been found gold coming from Kolar Goldfields have been found in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. So obviously mining was going on much before the British came, but the technology was not available to extract it beyond a point. So it was only in the late 18th century that the British soldier went, and because he was very curious, he wanted to do mining there. He got a lease from the Maharaja, and that's when mining seriously started. They couldn't find the lodes first, and then by early 19th century, early 20th century, that in 1902 or 19, that's when it was had become a flourishing gold mining town where the very big loads of gold were found, and a little bit of the infrastructure had been built, the houses had been built, and so on. So my story starts around that time, but I also go a little bit further back just to kind of give it a thing. And then it slowly, it became more and more prosperous. 1940s and 50s, it had reached its peak. And also most of the gold deposits had gone, and they'd been taken away by the British, actually. So by the 1950s, it was what they called a Little England, and then suddenly the mines were nationalized, and the British were willing to let it go because there's no gold, not that much gold left which they wanted. So by mid-1950s, they left. Then the character of the town changed. So that's evolution I've tried to trace through a story. No, it's a mystery. So there are several perspectives coming into it. So there is no one single voice. It's actually an action-packed story. The mystery is the death of a person, of a man. And the question is, was he murdered? Did he die by accident? Was he drunk? So that is the mystery. There is a process of trying to find out by his own daughter, and that is where the mystery gets unraveled. But in the unraveling, a lot of secrets pop out, a lot of stories about roots, a lot of other things come out in that. Yeah, families, and so it's not a murder. Therefore, that's why I don't want to call it a murder mystery or an investigative mystery or anything. It's just a mystery, how he died, and how the process of finding out how he died reveals other secrets. I think actually there are a lot of people even today who have come out of Kolar goldfields who have a very strong nostalgic feeling about it, but they are feeling nostalgic about a town which exists now mostly in our childhood and in our minds. And I think a lot of them will be able to relate to this, because I've also talked of the ethos of the mining town, and especially at its peak, when there were so many social activities going on, so much bonding, it was a different town altogether. So I think that way I have a feeling it's going to touch the hearts of a lot of people.